We're going to call this meeting to order. And this is the Town of Kensington, Wednesday, March 18th Town Council meeting. All right, so let's get started. Next item on the agenda is moment of silence. Is there anyone we want to lift up?
Yeah, I'd like to take a moment of silence for the service members who've been killed in action in the latest war in the Middle East. And it looks like the latest count is 13 U.S. service members. So just want to take a moment to think about them, keep their families in our thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just going to add that I heard today there is a ships out there that these service people have not been home in close to a year. So that takes quite a toll on them as well as their families. So let's lift up the servicemen and women who I'm sure would love to be home right now. Okay, there's no one else. If we can bow our heads for a moment. Okay, thank you very much. All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for a town council meeting and the work session. I did not see any edits come over the email. So we will take a motion to approve. Let's start with the February 10th town council meeting.
Sure, I'll move that we approve the minutes from the February 10th, 2026 town council meeting.
Is there a second?
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. And the February 18th work session?
And I will move that we adopt the minutes from the February 18th work session.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. First item on the agenda, Matt?
Sure. We were advised that the Housing Opportunities Commission building commission HOC has officially moved over to Silver Spring. And Mayor Furman was told by the county DGS that the Montgomery County Public Schools will take the facility back and have it used for administrative offices. And I don't believe they provided any more information or a timeline on that. Did they, Mayor Furman?
They are supposed to be moving in April. They hope to have that people in there in April. I did ask about the gym and when it would go back on a community use for public facilities. And she hoped to have it on a few months after they move in. So they did close it because the building is unoccupied at the moment. I was wondering if we should at some point maybe ask, I think it was the deputy person at for facilities at Montgomery County Public Schools, if we should set up a community meeting, if people had any questions. And I would include at least the Kensington Estates neighborhood, since that is their park. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that are interested in knowing what's going to happen, how it's going to be used, hours, things like that. I think it just goes a long way to building trust in the community to bring that together and hear directly from MCPS.
Okay, there'll be just a short article, basically what we just talked about right now in the journal, so people are aware that there is somebody moving in. And but I think I talked to Monique, mayor of Rockville, New Gaston, and she thinks they're closing another building that they're currently paying rent for and then moving their people over here. So so that would make sense. So because she said to me that the HOC is set up as an office right now. That's what it's set up for. So I think that'll work for them. Okay.
I do think
Tracy, I know that's. Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry, Claire. We were talking at the same time.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Oh, I was just going to say, when you reach out to them along those lines, it would be good to know, is this short term, a few years? Is this long term? Is this permanent? Obviously, the gym is one aspect. The playground is another aspect. We've talked about maintenance and cleanup, but would the facility also be available for any other uses?
Yeah, I don't know as far as like open space within the building itself, for meetings or things like that. So we can certainly ask that question. It seemed I got the impression that since they don't have money for early not child care, but child what was the term
The Blue Ribbon, the Kerwin Commission.
yeah, that it would probably be for a number of years. That would be their choice of placing pre-K activities, but more than likely it'll stay in office for a while. That was the impression I got. But that's a question we could certainly, see if they would put on record in a community meeting.
And then as well, I think the skate park and whether or not that's something that would be maintained and kept, or if they have other feelings.
Yeah, I was concerned more about it if they had opened it for pre-K, but if they had not, if it's just they'll be maintaining the playground and the skate park and the field, then hopefully all three will be able to stay in place. Nate, do you have another question?
It was kind of related to that. I was going to make the point of there was some exchange with them, just to flag to the rest of the community listening, that the gym will be available for rental back on the Montgomery County rec page, rental page, if it isn't already, right? They said they're
Well, she said it wouldn't be in April. She said because the building is unoccupied. So it would take, she hoped after a couple of months when they moved in.
Yeah, that's
when
right.
they started to move in, because they have to have staff there. So,
Right.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the council or the residents online? Okay. Matt, number 2.
Council, we received a request to hold a weekly cars and coffee event every Sunday between April and October from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the Kensington train station. I believe Alex is on the call. I do see him. He is the one that made the request. So Alex, if you'd like to kind of give a little presentation and the council an overview of what you're planning.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Good evening, Mayor Berman and town members. I was interested in, actually, you mentioned weekly, but I was actually envisioning more like monthly, but open to either way. Wanted to, the town residents have shown a strong interest in automotive enthusiasm. There's 2 annual car shows. There's a lot of car enthusiasts who live near me. And I thought it'd be a nice way to get the community together at a time when the parking lot is not being used, and not too early in the morning, but a way to get more traffic into the downtown area for the local businesses, and have a local coffee shop, sell coffee there, and just a way for a free event for all community members to either participate in or join. There are many successful cars and coffees around the metropolitan area, and thought it'd be a nice thing for Kensington to do. Happy to answer any questions.
What is the second car show? Do we have a second?
The senior housing.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Kensington. Yeah. Okay. Kensington Park. That's right.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a nice little one they do every year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't attended that one, but yeah. Any questions for Alex?
Yeah,
Yeah.
could you
Go ahead.
well could you just explain a little bit more like what happens at a
Oh,
cars and
sure.
coffee hangout?
Yeah, sure. Basically, people drive their cars over, they park. Some might put the hood up, but generally they walk around, look at other cars, buy coffee from a local merchant who sets up in the parking lot, and just kind of talk and connect and look at everybody's interesting things.
Hey, Alex, the other
Yeah.
ones that you referenced that happen in Montgomery County, how many cars typically show up? What time of day?
Yeah, good questions.
Walk us through the ones that are there to give us so we can envision. And then from there,
Mhm.
are you thinking north side by the cafe, or south side, like where we have the farmers market?
Sure. To your first question, I mean, it really depends on, the size of the parking lot. There's one that's been at Montgomery Mall that's been kind of large, so obviously we have a lot of parking there. And then there's a pretty well-known one out in Great Falls, Virginia, Katie's Cars and Coffee. It's been going on for 10 or 20 years. And that one, gets a pretty good following too. They probably have, I don't know, 40, 50 cars there. But that one again is well known. I was thinking the farmers market side, but I mean, really kind of agnostic on that. It could go either way.
And then Sundays,
Oh yeah.
do these happen for an hour? Do they happen
Oh yeah,
for
yeah,
2
sure.
hours?
Usually these are about a couple hours. Many of them start as early as like 6 a.m., but I did not think that would be a good time to start on a Sunday in a downtown area near a residence. So I thought 8 a.m. seems reasonable. It's, late enough that you're not waking everybody up and early enough that you can still have your Sunday to get things done.
It's by when you say not waking people up, do you expect there to be a lot of noise?
Well, I expect that people who bring their cars might have loud cars. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
That does happen.
Okay. I think that would be a concern because we
Yeah.
already are facing issues with noise in that area. But
Okay.
I think it's important to note that. But I also just had a question just in terms of I think the idea is great, but what kind of administrative or planning or resources do you need from the town? Because, you know, we have a short staff and they're
Yeah.
stretched thin and do a lot of events, and I'm sure you'll have to do something to coordinate and do the
Yeah.
planning. And is it going to be all on you or what's the
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking I would handle it, but I also don't know, I don't know what the town does in terms of like administration or even insurance for the farmers market. I don't know how you guys handle all that. So it's an open question, and I am certainly willing to work on that and take the lead on this.
Well, Alex, you're just lucky we have our town attorney on the call.
Ah,
So she might be able to just give us a brief, maybe need to do a little bit more, look into it more, but I
yeah,
think she could at least give us an idea of what, our liabilities are.
yeah, yeah. That's great.
So Ellen?
It depends on, obviously, there's a request for an exclusive use of town property at a certain time. So you would want probably some kind of indemnification language.
Mhm.
You would want to retain control also in terms of what's acceptable there, such as noise.
Mhm.
But we'd have to look at it a little bit more. Sometimes you have requested day of event insurance, but depending on the activity, possibly not also. But there might be some things to talk about.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm happy to talk through all that. I could, come over and meet with you at some point.
Okay. Well, I think Sue Ellen will do some look into it a little bit more, and then she can get back to Matt, and he can convey, that information. Anne?
It just occurred to me in thinking about, parameters,
Mhm.
and if there was a possibility that there were going to be noisy cars, which we would not want. Would you be setting up guidelines? Do you advertise this on social media? Do you say like cars of this type or are invited or invited? Like tell us a little bit back to the administration of how this would look.
Sure, sure. Yeah. It would probably be advertised locally on social media. I mean, my idea is for, town residents in the surrounding areas, to be participating. I'm not exactly looking for people from 2 counties away to come over. Um, and yeah, there would be certain rules, obviously, cars remain off during the event that you can drive in, obviously, but then you turn the car off. There's no revving, there's no, um, you know, spinning the tires or anything like that. Um, Everyone's respectful, and if they are not, then they're not welcome the next time. And as for what kind of cars, I mean, I'd, be open to any kind of cars that come with the understanding that, this is a residential area and people are expected to respect that.
Sorry, Alex, one more question. Is
Yeah.
there like a registration they would do, or they just kind of come at will? And is there some sort of payment at all involved, or would people just show up?
It would be pretty informal unless
Okay.
the town had requested that we do it another way, but there's certainly no fee to to participate.
Okay.
You just
And
get up
no
morning,
registration.
say I'm coming. You just,
Yeah,
just
no, I mean, yeah,
drive
people
over
might,
and
yeah,
then- yeah, just show off my car.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry, Nate. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying there's no registration because it's informal.
Right.
Yeah, if the town requested that, we could, look into it. But generally, these things are pretty informal.
Okay. I think the first thing is let's have Sue Ellen get back to us on, any liability of whether we need to take care of that. And I think obviously we want to know the actual dates that you're coming. So that's on staff's radar that, this particular day is when you're having this in case we have an event that comes up that we want to do. So that would be important. And we could start as early as April, possibly April, but I would think we could settle this by May for sure.
That sounds great. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to discuss this, and I'm happy to continue.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure the council's in agreement with that.
Okay.
I would suggest that if we're going to do this, we do it on a trial or experimental basis first and have a check-in on how it went.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
I'm looking at the Katie's Cars and Coffee, which is, I'll be honest, a lot of cool cars. What I'd also suggest is that we reach out to Katie's Coffee in Great Falls and get their experience, lessons learned. In fairness, it looks like a very well-run, well-organized, popular event. There is some other online comments about some in the community who, Alex, to your point, some people that independently, they rev their engines or they do burnouts or other things that we obviously don't want to see either. So I just want to see and I'm happy to take it, the assignment to call over to Katie's Coffee and just, have a conversation with them about lessons learned since hosting it sounds like for several years. So.
Yeah, it sounds you could have like 40 people show up and that's, that would be a good day for, that, but it could be overwhelming to the neighborhood too. So.
Well, one thing in all fairness, Katie's got very, very popular. It's got a lot of space, but one of the complaints early on was just that it got too popular too fast, a good problem. And they started parking a bunch of lots that belonged to other businesses that was not envisioned. They had to get their arms around it. That's why I want to talk to Katie's. But let's say Alex, this thing was wildly successful. There's only so many parking spaces. So what happens then? Choking off our Howard Avenue in our business district. I know Sundays are quieter, but it's a road that doesn't accommodate a ton of traffic.
Yeah, that's a fair question.
Yeah. So I just think a little more research, and then we'll bring it back.
Mayor, if I could,
Sure.
The research would be important to lessons learned, but also this would be in the nature of a permit. So there would be permit requirements for it. So it'd be very clear what areas could be used and what can't happen. So that's how I envision this going. It would be you would issue a permit to allow the use of the space, and there would be rules applied.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stuart, did any additional comments before
No, I was just going to say, just one comment. Thanks, Mayor. Alex, thanks for bringing this to the town's attention. You probably could have done this informally, and I know you're getting a lot of questions, which is good, but we appreciate you coming proactive, bringing this to the town attention. We hope to support you in this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I agree, a trial is a great idea. And, if it doesn't go well, then that's okay. We can pull it down. I just thought it'd be a good community event. So.
Okay, thank you. Anne, one more? Then
Just one more idea for while we're in the exploration phase. If this does proceed, and you do it a few times, the Sustainable Kensington Committee had some ideas about bringing EVs out, electric vehicles, for people to have like an up close, opportunity to talk to an EV owner about their car and understand the features. And so if this does move forward, it might be nice to have 1 month where there's a special call out to EV owners.
That's great. Yeah.
Okay. Jody, I see your hand up. You're on mute. Oh. You're on mute, Jody. I don't think she can hear me. You're on mute. Can you get off mute? This same being on. Still on mute. All right, we're gonna have to move on, okay? All right, well, we're still looking in this. No decision has been made, so Connor's gonna do some homework. And also Sue Ellen's gonna just look into things, and I think the permit is a good way of doing it. Okay, last question, Joe?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think in addition to the research that has already been laid out, that the applicant take a look at or inquire with neighbors, residential neighbors near the train station, just to see what they might have to say, what insights they may be able to offer. And the applicant might do well to research the county noise ordinance, which is pretty specific about weekends and evenings and so forth. So that might be a good avenue to pursue as well. Thank you.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, well, we will, you've got some homework, we've got homework, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you,
Okay,
Alex.
thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Okay. All right, number 3.
Mayor and Council, in speaking with Councilmember Sparker and Councilmember Crimmins, we just kind of wanted to have a more thorough discussion with regards to the backstop at St. Paul Park. I know staff was directed to make repairs. In reviewing the repair options, we suggested possibly replacing the backstop with a soccer rebounder, which we think would be more appropriate based on the feedback that we're receiving from the community, and just kind of wanted to get a better idea before we move forward with any removal, repairs, or what we plan to do with the backstop at St. Paul Park.
Okay, I've heard from 2 residents so far. They think we need something there. We obviously don't need a baseball backstop, but there is a lot of children that play there for t-ball, soccer, back and forth. And so I do see the need for something smaller, but I'm not sure exactly whether I'm a little concerned about a soccer net. I'm not sure how long that would hold up. Or do we put like a 4-foot fence around in the same spot and call it a day? So I think most of the wear and tear is more on probably older children climbing up the backstop. Could be whacking the soccer ball, but I don't know. Stuart, you and Connor are there at the park. Do you see how that could have been soccer ball or just kids climbing on it?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I've definitely seen children of lots of ages climbing up the fence and up to the top of the backstop, which is pretty high, to be honest with you. And on the sides, it's the fencing is falling apart. It's kind of held up by smaller straps, like fencing straps. So I too have talked to some residents. They didn't get a lot of strong, like there's kind of ambivalent about the backstop in and of itself. Most of the folks I talked to are either at the park regularly or are participating in soccer practice with their kids that are up there regularly. And those teams tend to bring their own kind of like pop-up nets for soccer practice, where they put it up, they have soccer practice, and they put cones in there, and then they take it out when they go home. I will say, up the street, Oakland Terrace School had goals, hard goals they'd kept in place, and it actually ended up ruining the turf. They actually shut down the field and had to like reinstall grass because the grass got chewed up from usage. So that's something we should think about. If we're going to put a goal up there, it'll be occupied pretty regularly. So I think for my money, I think the current layout of the park, with future visions of additional apparatus is inside the track. In combination with the proximity of houses and cars parked along that spot, I think having like a proper T-ball area or like anything where people are hitting baseballs or hard softballs into the broader park is actually poses kind of like a safety risk. And I've actually had to ask people to like stop hitting baseballs when there's like kids running around in there because there are people just launching baseballs into the like the swings area and the larger playground area. So I think as I kind of thought through this and I talked to other constituents, I think we kind of came to the realization like we could take it down. I think if we put something up, a 4-foot fence, like you suggested, Mayor, would probably be the farthest I would go. It just gives somebody an opportunity to be like, hey, this is a kickball backstop or something like that, which is probably what would be the best use case for that area. But that's where I'm coming down. I think it's definitely posing a safety hazard now. I'm glad the town staff went out and took a look at it because it's pretty significant. But I think I'd be in favor of removing it at this point for the time being until we can kind of come to consensus with a replacement.
Okay. Anybody else on the council want to speak to this?
Yeah, I'll to Stuart's point, it's unsafe. And what we build has the intent of inviting people to use it for that purpose. If we put in the backstop like we have now, to Stuart's point about soccer goals, right? It's a muddy mess where the quote home plate is located right now, just because that's where everybody stands, everybody swings, kickball, whatever the activity is. So, if we have anything that promotes swinging of bats and hitting, I feel like we have to have some sort of overhang like we have now to try and keep balls as best contained. But I think to Stuart's point, the bigger question is, what do we want to do? I know we've talked about different phases of the park. Phase 3, do we put playground features inside of the walking track? And I know that's got mixed feelings. And as a council, we have decided to pause that and kind of really reevaluate now that we're finishing phase 2, which the town manager will give an update on here shortly. I would support Stuart's recommendation of just removing it now because it's not worth repairing. And we bring it into, call it the CIP as budget season, and just a reimagination. Do we want to? What do we want to do with that kind of space within St. Paul Park?
Okay. Nate or Ann, any comments before I open it to the public?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think everything sounds good that we just heard discussed. I guess that my question is when you're talking about a kickball backstop or a soccer rebound, is it just kind of like a wooden backstop that's maybe like 5 or 10 feet wide and maybe, like you said, Stuart, 4 feet high that they can kick back and forth on? Is that the idea?
I would think it's mostly because what I've seen are mostly kids like are under 5 years old and they're kicking the ball and the backstop just kind of stops the ball from rolling too far. So, they're hitting towards it and then somebody else is throwing it back. And so, if it's not there, would they do, excuse me, would they do that? Probably not. So, it's just fine.
Yeah. No, but I'm open to, I mean, I agree that it's an idea I agree with the idea to pull it down and then reimagine it, whether it's with a backstop or something else altogether. Maybe we can include it in the phase 3 of the playground work, even though it's not directly tied to that. We can maybe reimagine it in that context.
Ann?
Yeah, I agree, and I think having a process to get input from the community on what to do in replacement, since it sounds like as is, it would be significant effort to repair anyway. I guess the one question I have is whether there are T-ball groups or baseball, softball type practice happening. What alternatives could be shared with them? And I recall like years ago, the head of Parks and Planning looking at Cabin Park and saying, geez, maybe we should do something to make that more usable. I see people trying to practice baseball and t-ball there, and it's not really been maintained for that purpose. And so if to me, I'd still want to support that. I think you guys know I'm a baseball fan. So we might need to talk to Parks about Cabin Park, but I'm not sure if there have been recent conversations with them.
Yeah, and I don't know about recent, but my kids played t-ball at Kensington Cabin Park, and it was problematic because they don't mow the grass regularly. But I have never seen organized t-ball at St. Paul Park games. I do see, I think parent coaches who live in the area know that, hey, this is kind of a secret that's available, but more so flag football, soccer. I haven't seen a t-ball practice, I don't know, in years.
Well, I think it's usually, again, it's just a parent with a little kid who's just batting the ball with almost a wiffle ball, type thing. So it's not a group sport. It's just more one-on-one with an adult. That's usually what have seen there. So, all right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, we'll open it up. Jody, can you?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm on my phone and I hadn't had my settings right. What I see is what Tracy said. I see, usually families there playing t-ball or practicing baseball. I do think the backstop is necessary, a much smaller version of what is there. I don't think you need the wings, and I don't think you need the overhang. I don't really see people playing with a hard baseball. I mean, and it's usually just little kids. I don't see anything organized or any real baseball being played there. It's mostly just families with small kids.
Okay, thank you. David, Romeo?
Thank you, Mayor. I just had one comment regarding children climbing the fence. I believe they make a chain link fence with a mesh that is small enough that children can't put their feet in the mesh to climb the fence. So I just wanted to bring that to the council's attention in case you're interested in replacing a chain link fence.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Oh. Well, I'm just going on month of being sick.
Sorry, I'm leaving.
Good thing.
Okay.
I'm on a
Mute yourself. Okay. So what I'm hearing is let's take it down, take a pause, and then come back if we think we need something either through the next round for the playground equipment or get some other suggestions from the people that use the park. Does that sound what I'm hearing? Okay, Matt?
Thank you, Council. We appreciate
Go ahead
that.
and take that down. All right, great. Okay, all right. Let me go through the, well, let's go ahead and finish, let's go ahead and do the council reports. So who wants to start? Oh, don't raise your hands.
I can start. I was coming off mute.
Can I go first? Because I
Yes.
have nothing.
Stuart's done.
Check me off the
Stuart's
list.
got a big one coming up. So.
Yeah, I know. We're at the end, so I'll
Yeah, he's
get
gonna
myself
talk
out
about
of the way.
Yeah.
There's a handful on here, Mayor, I believe you're going to cover, so I won't. But planning board meeting, the town testified at the planning board on March 5th for the mandatory referral for 3420 Pliers Mill Road. And that mandatory referral passed by a vote of 3-2. I wanted to thank Sue Ellen, the town attorney, obviously Matt, town manager, who really led the testimony for their time on behalf of that in front of the planning board. A few others, the Montgomery County Public Schools superintendent, there's no no boundary study for our area update, but the superintendent did announce his first ever, or MCPS's first ever, superintendent shuffle. It is a 5K race that will be April 11th at Brower Park in Gaithersburg. All money raised from this 5K is going to be used to draw down the student school lunch debt. So for those who, it's a really noteworthy, and there's a great promotional video that has Mayor Judd Ashman running alongside the superintendent, which is just worth watching in and of itself. But really worthy cause. April 11th, check-in at 8 p.m. Start time is 9 a.m. It's a $30 entry fee. And again, it is a walk-run event designed to raise awareness and funds to help reduce the student meal debt across the entire school district. So very worthy of people's time and energy if they can participate.
Connor, did they specify what the current debt for student lunch is across MCPS? Is that number? Did you see that number?
Yes. Funds raised from this event will help us reach the goal is $80,000.
Oh.
Overall, there's $500,000 in student meal debt. And so I think the idea is to draw down, not necessarily all in one year, but make this an annual event that eventually starts to wipe out school lunch debt over time.
Wow.
Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Is there a way of making donations without having to run or walk?
I'm almost certain there is. There's the ability to sponsor, and there is I can't attend and you want to give a donation. Yes. It is being run through the Montgomery County Public Schools Educational Foundation, so you can find the link there. I will send it to Alex for the minutes, but there you can register individuals, families, or just donate directly to the cause.
Okay. Great.
And then see what else. I'm going to guess you're going to cover the other ones. So I'm done.
Well,
Can I ask you a question, Connor?
Yes.
You're talking. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So
Nate, go ahead.
yeah, you kind of ran through that really quickly, the mandatory referral report.
Yes.
Can you give people just a quick update of what property it is? And I'm curious, I didn't follow the vote itself, but can you say what the two who were in opposition were for? I would have expected a unanimous vote, to be honest.
I may defer to Town Attorney Ferguson only in that there was some confusion, in my opinion, from members of the planning board as to what their authority was and what they were doing. So this was a mandatory referral for 3420 Plyers Mill Road, what had been Joseph Park. The town council voted to be able to, the official legal term is dispose of, but to be able to sell the property. It then went to referendum, was on the ballot last year. The referendum was passed 68% to 32%. So the town supported it, but there's this mandatory referral process that is required that we go to the county and seek their advice. It is non-binding. Staff report was supportive of it. And then it went into some discussion. Some of the comments from, one of the planning board members, for instance, I believe understood what we were doing, but his concern was, hey, at the end of the day, if a home were built here, it would just be one unit of housing, and that unit of housing would be market rate, and the market rate in Kensington is probably over $800,000. And so his point is, why do it? That isn't what the mandatory referral was about. But that was, some of the concerns that I heard. Sue Ellen, was there anything else you wanted to add around the process?
I think that also some of the group were not aware of what their limits were in terms of what they could not look at. And there were a number of allegations that the town had not appropriately approved the sale of the property. And I ended up saying something about that's not really in their lane. And their own attorney ended up doing that also, because they were going beyond what is their assignment in sitting on a mandatory referral. So that came up too, and is really kind of outside of what they're allowed to consider. And I think they eventually were well reminded of that by their own attorney.
Okay. Thank you for the additional explanation. It's very helpful.
All right, to the mayor's point, a couple of others. There, there's no update on Starter and Silver Homes Act, but I know there's been a lot of good work done by the kind of Montgomery County municipalities, both in advocating our voice as to try and shape that bill. My only other is that the Summit Avenue extension, a big, pat on the back to the mayor for yesterday attending the CIP hearing. I'm very pleased to hear that the Summit Avenue extension unanimously made its way back into the CIP. That was my biggest one. Even though, Mayor, you did all the work, I was very excited to be able to mention it.
Yeah, well, I didn't do all the work, but it was a group effort for sure. What I didn't understand, maybe because they are recommending to put $990,000 for design funding. They didn't say when that was coming up. Connor, you look at the dates. Do you know when that would happen?
They talk. If it gets returned to its previous schedule, then it should be FY29. So that should take us. Okay. That's to help take us from the 35% to probably what's closer to like a 90% design. So this is, as they've talked about, to really get from broad strokes into very specific square footages from what lots for any sort of land acquisition, design. I know from hearing different meetings with State Highway and MCDOT, there's still some differing thoughts about how the exact traffic flow will work, which roads would go which direction, how to, what is the volume that is going northbound or southbound on Connecticut versus University? Do you try and prioritize? Connecticut Avenue has more traffic. Do you try and prioritize Connecticut Avenue in any such design as opposed to making them somewhat equal? So those are things that would be worked out in the next phase of design.
Well, what I'd like to do is when we have a new county executive to meet with them and MCDOT to talk about it a little bit further in the design process before they go to that design process. I think it would be really important for the town to sit down with them. They did say that 22.5 million would be allocated to the 31-32 budget for further design, land acquisition, and construction. So, update on that.
Yeah, I brought up the project website. As of right now, resuming design would begin in FY28, which is July of 2027.
Okay.
So the vote that was taken yesterday is to hold that schedule.
Okay. They do have, their final votes are in May. So we may need to make sure they're moving on to the other things in the CIP now in these work sessions. So, I was really happy to see that it was unanimous. There was no question about it through the T&E as well as the council itself. So I think that's good news, but the final vote will be in May. So, okay. Anything else? All right. Anne, you want to go next?
Sure. Just a couple of things to mention. For the Greenscape Committee, we did meet with Ezra Barden, who was here last month, to review plans for a pollinator garden in Clum Kennedy by the bird sculpture. We'll keep you posted on the timing for that. And then for Ernest Memorial Park, I know that we are scheduled to have some holly trees planted, I think, the end of this week, but I actually was going to ask Alex and Matt if there was an update on the timing for the work there. If you've got news to share, if you don't,
Yes,
that's
the
okay.
hollies are going to be planted on Friday, but I'll defer to Matt on the rest.
Significant delay on Ernest Memorial due to the snow. Our contractors still so we're still finishing up on St. Paul. Once they're complete on St. Paul, we're going to move down to Armory in Baltimore, and we'll try to incorporate Ernest Memorial improvements with the Armory Baltimore storm drain project. So we're probably looking right now at best case early summer.
Okay, I was thinking about it in relation to that home and garden tour. So it sounds like it won't be ready by then.
No, I think what we talked about, I think with Kate DeWitt, is possibly having the design posted on the property so people can see that it's a work in progress.
Okay, all right. We will follow up on that. And then just wanted the community to be aware that Nate and I are working with the Sustainable Kensington team to have a set of volunteers go sort of door to door and talk to neighbors about food waste collection, to try to encourage greater participation and understand what challenges folks have had or ideas folks have. So more on that to come, but don't be surprised if your neighbor knocks on your door and wants to talk to you with a compost bucket in her hand. And I know we're going to talk about parking task force work later, so that's all I have for now.
This is I was on a call today with Andrew Friedson and the other municipalities in District 1, and they were talking about their I think it's Somerset is on a committee to talk about how to do composting county-wide because of the amount of food that's going into the incinerator or being buried, and they really want to figure out how to do it. I want to say, oh, we did it, but as far as collecting, but we do need to get our numbers up to be really truly successful. But the county is going that way. So people need to understand that they're going to have to start separating their food, and they might as well start doing it now. So,
well, thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ann, on that note, and maybe with the mayor, as we track what the county does toward any sort of countywide program, just to start thinking about what might the town do? Do we stand down our program and do a uniform county program? Do we maintain ours? And if we did, Mayor Furman, would that be a reimbursable charge from the county?
I don't know. I don't think they've gotten that far.
So
Yeah.
maybe a question
Mayor,
to feed to Somerset just to ask.
Okay, well, I can have them do that.
Mayor, it'd probably be very similar to the recycling program where it's required in the county, but the municipalities are responsible for the collections.
Yeah, I wouldn't
So it'd be very,
surprised. Yeah. Okay. I think the hardest are obviously the biggest ones that are throwing away food is the restaurants and the grocery stores. So I certainly hope that they figure out how to do it commercially and without, obviously raw food into a dumpster, you got to be picking that more than once a week. So, okay. Nate?
Yeah, I guess on that point, public service announcement to everybody, put your compost or your food waste bins out tonight is the collection. Don't forget. I'm seeing more and more, actually. I almost took a photo and sent it to you, Andy, last week because I think it was Washington Street had at least 5 bins out, all kind of at almost every house. It was really nice to see. So we're representing here over on the west side. So I think we can hope to get those numbers up, like Ann said, with the survey and with the door-to-door work. I guess just a couple more updates on Sustainable Kensington. We had our meeting back in February where we had Mike Honeygake from Sustainable Maryland come and walk us through the recertification process for our bronze recertification, which we're going to be submitting by June, July this year. So we have, all hands on deck putting together all of the information and all of the documentation that we need to do to get that recertification, which will last again once we get it for 3 years. So he did a training. One of the trainings is to do what they call a green team recertification. So we get points for that. So he went through the training. And also we had Andrew Henderson, who is an Eagle Scout, present during that meeting a project that he's going to do with the town to do in conjunction with Sustainable Kensington to put up a few what they call insect hotels, which sounds a little bizarre, but it's meant to help provide environments for good insects to thrive and kind of contribute to areas where they're co-located oftentimes with gardens and parks. So he'll be building those in a couple of the structures, and was to meet with you, Matt and Alex, if he didn't already, to talk about placement of that and where we want them. But we brainstormed a few ideas. And then one other update, and Stuart, you might want to come in here too. Just we finally resumed shortly after our February town council meeting. We resumed our SHA, State Highway Administration quarterly meetings, which went through a very long list of things and had, I think, a very positive discussion. So hopefully we'll see some movement on a lot of the issues we've been in ongoing discussions with them about for improvements around the town for our basically our bicycling and pedestrian infrastructure and anything to do with the roads in and around town, crosswalks and so on. So we have to get another meeting, I think, Matt, to keep the momentum on the calendar, maybe for May, I'm thinking, or June. So maybe you, Stuart, and I can talk about when the next best time is to do a meeting.
Okay, great. Let's see. And Stuart has nothing, so he'll follow up on the parking one when we get to it. Just a couple announcements for me. I just want to make sure everybody remembers that March 23rd is the deadline for the journal, for the next journal for April. So I also want to announce that the Baby Cat, because we're not having a Day of the Book this year, they're going to do Day of the Beer, and that will be Saturday, April 25th. I did speak to Sam at Baby Cat, knew somebody who could possibly do the book, Day of the Book, organize it, and, with the help of Ellie on that first year for sure. And it turns out to be somebody I actually know. So she's a member at St. Paul's. So anyway, I let Ellie know and got them together, and they're going to set up a meeting, and hopefully it'll go well, and we'll have an opportunity to see Day of the Book come back next year. So I think that's great. So also the Kensington communities, which includes the town of Chevy Chase View, is kind of put together a little group to talk about different projects that are, especially traffic projects that are going on in the Kensington area. Connor and I are on that group email list, so we're just kind of monitoring it. We're not members of the group, but we're just there to see what they're talking about. I think that first thing that they were talking about, Connor, was over on Beach Drive, obviously not an area in which we are going to really spend much time on. So.
Right. I think, and then, part of it is if there are things happening within the town and we can share that. It also kind of came about through the Starter and Silver Homes Act.
Right.
Just the biggest thing here is a lot of people get information from different places, and we're trying to give people accurate information as opposed to just, hearsay through listservs. So, the municipalities participate in a lot of meetings, and we tend to get things directly from the state agencies or county agencies and or our own actions. And so we are working to share that with the other homeowners associations or neighborhood, organizations like Parkwood Civic Associations.
Right. So I think they've only had one real meeting, and I think we were both busy on that night attending another meeting, but they were interested in the Starter Silver Homes, so legislation. The other thing I want to just bring up is the history boards. The new history boards are in. I'm going to talk to Jason about installing them. They're the ones on the Mizell property, now Modena. And then also talks about commerce within the town. So those will be installed. I don't know if you noticed, but the antique row sign is gone. They have picked it up. Shannonbaum has picked it up. And Matt, will we have that back before the June 7th?
We hope so. Yeah, we think we'll have it back in 6 weeks. So
okay, great. And then I think you saw the windows that was in the last journal. Then at Safeway, we have a new paintings that are going in on the windows. And I think that's all I got. Oh, Noise Library, I think, was it April 7th? Matt, did you get a date?
Not quite public yet, Mayor.
Oh, sorry. Well, they are.
Now it is.
Now it is, but I know I have the date wrong. April or something, but they are moving forward with the project. That's the good news. So the project is going to happen at Noise. So that's the good news. Council, we do have we sent 2 letters on the starter silver with the other 11 municipalities. They do want to send out a 3rd letter, and this is more to MML, just talking about how they felt they did not really speak to us when they approved this legislation, and just more of a, we need to do better. So I'll circulate that. They're still making some draft changes. So when they kind of narrow it down, I'll definitely forward it out to everyone.
Yeah, just if I can, one comment, because the mayor and I worked pretty closely on this. I will express, I hope when you see the letter that you're supportive of the town signing on, because I am personally very frustrated with MML, and I share the frustration with a number of the other municipalities. It turns out that the Starter and Silver Homes Act draft bill was given to MML in August, and they had it for months and did not provide it to the legislative committee or to their board, which is made up of the municipal membership, until the beginning of the legislative session in January. That's why we were all a little bit shocked to see this bill. The first indication we all knew of it was the governor's press conference in December announcing that he was bringing a package of bills around housing to the legislative session. And so when we saw it and saw the extent to which it usurps local government authority, we were all a little shocked that MML wasn't on top of this. And it turns out they had the bill for months and never shared it with the membership.
Why? What did they say? And when you say they had it, but they didn't share it with the board or legislative committee, that means
their executive
there was
director,
one or two.
their professional staff and lobbyists were working. They acknowledged they were working with DHCD, the Department of Housing, to shape the bill for months, but never shared a draft of it to get input from the municipal members. And to give people an extent of what has happened since the bill was introduced, and quickly, as of the last hearing date, it had 21 proposed amendments, of which they had already accepted 14 of those amendments, and were negotiating the other 7 with the municipalities, the counties, everybody who's been submitting. Since that hearing date, there's been more amendments. That gives you the sense that the bill maybe wasn't in its best drafted version when it was submitted, which is more flummoxing because MML had it for months and could have shared it, and these organizations could have been working to propose these amendments or bring forward these issues in that time frame. So
they also want to, they're discussing right now whether they want to add the Carroll County to it, because they've asked to be included on that letter. And quite honestly, you could probably get every municipality, and I think there's 27 in Prince George's County, to sign on to it as well. So that's how upset the municipalities are. Sue Ellen, do you want to add anything?
Yes, I attended the Maryland Municipal Attorneys meeting, which was last week, and this came up there too, because their lobbyists were there to lay out what was going on in the legislature so far, and a number of people talked to them, the attorneys talked to them about why didn't they, when they got notice of this, start talking to folks who actually have expertise in the area, because they do not. And it's a very local issue, the zoning, but they didn't reach out to elected officials, appointed officials, the municipal attorneys. Even, their point was nobody will talk to them ahead of time if they bring the whole group into the conversation when it's still in the formative stage, which is a good point. But they didn't check with anybody, and it's not something that the lobbyists at MML know anything about. So I think they're getting it from a number of sources at the moment.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too. Although I went to the Mayor's Association meeting and it's not something they wanted to talk about. The only thing they talked about was the fact that, when the legislative committee supports a bill, then we're all supposed to step in line and support it too, or keep our mouths shut. That's basically what you were told, which didn't come off very well to most of the municipalities there. So it was an interesting learning experience, I think, for them, that we can be very loud if necessary. So, I get it. It's really hard to get some attention from the municipalities. Most of us work full-time jobs, we have families, and, we're not always reading every email that they send us. And it was also brought up today within the letter that they're writing, is that you need to be talking to our staff, because it starts with our staff, and staff brings it to our attention if we're missing it. So anyway, I'll get that out to you tomorrow. Okay. Just one more thing. I got a really nice letter from one of our residents just praising the town and Public Works for the job that they did for the snow removal. It was really very touching. And so kudos to Public Works and our own staff in the offices, because it was a lot of work. So I appreciate that the residents had noticed that we were, probably the best of even the county couldn't keep up with us. So, all right. Excuse me. Anybody in the audience have any questions for any of the reports that the council and I made? Joe?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I was just wondering for Councilmember Lecter, when we might expect this knock at the door from the representatives from the food waste program?
Yeah. We haven't set the exact dates for canvassing. We have a few more things we have to get in place. And I know for many families who have school-age children, there'll be spring break. So at this point, it's possible it won't start until mid-April.
Great, thank you. And for Councilmember Crimmins, I'm just still a little unclear as to why two members of the planning board, the county planning board, voted against the town on the St. Joseph matter. Even if they were outside their lane, perhaps in some respects, they must have had reasons that were expressed for them to vote in the two-vote minority. So could you just quickly elaborate on that for me? Thanks.
I can do my best. What I would recommend and encourage, Joe, is you can go back and watch the testimony online. And I say that not to push you off to the testimony, but because it was a very confusing board meeting, because they were taking issue with points that were outside the purview of what the planning board needed to review. There's also a staff report that I think is very clear on what is being asked in a mandatory referral, and the staff support was supportive of our request. And so I think that would help you understand what the purview of the planning board is. And unfortunately for these members, I don't know if it's that they're new or they haven't seen a lot of mandatory referrals yet, but they were bringing into some of the discussion and their points things that have no bearing. And to our town attorney's point, the planning board attorney had to interject in the middle to kind of refocus them and remind them that they have a limited scope of what they can review. The other thing is this is an advisory vote as it is. Regardless of how the vote turned out, the town is still able to do what it wishes because we have gone through the process. Sue Ellen, I don't know if there's more that you want to add, but Joe, I wish I could give you a clear answer. Some of the things I heard from one of the board members, I alluded to it before, was, you know, should we be supportive of this? There was a question about whether or not this was more intensive, because we're taking a lot that has no house on it and we're going to put a house on it. And so clearly that's a more intensive use of the lot. But that's not what is meant by more intensive. The lot is zoned R60. It has always been zoned R60. Us disposing of it and somebody buying it and perhaps building a house on it, it's still zoned R60. And so it's no more intensive of a use. A more intensive use would be if you wanted to build an office building, if you wanted to build an apartment building. And so it's these very nuanced, you know, back and forth. And so to one member of the planning board, you know, his thought was, well, if this is only going to produce one unit of housing, and that unit of housing is probably going to be above $800,000, I think was the value he used. Like, I don't know if that I don't know if that's the greater good. Okay.
What I was just looking for was a real summary as to why those two planning board members voted the way they did. Again,
but Joe, that's my point. You honestly,
I'm not interested in spending time with a confusing meeting. I spent enough time in confusing meetings, but nonetheless, I was just curious since
Joe, if I could
took
give
the
you a
lead
more
on that
succinct,
discussion,
if I could give you a more succinct answer, I would be happy to.
Okay.
The only way to understand how the points that they tried to bring up is by watching it. That's how it was a very confusing hearing.
The good news about this is the fact that the planning has realized that before we start with the sector plan, that the planning board needs to be more familiar with Kensington. They have an absolute no idea what we're doing here. So I think she wants to, Carrie Sanders wants to bring them sometime, was it in the fall, I think, Matt, to bring them here and introduce them to Kensington and all the things that we are doing here. So they just really did not have an understanding of where St. Paul Park was, what the property was that we want to replace Joseph Park with. So I think that's good, because if we're going to do the sector plan, those people need to know Kensington. So that was the good thing that came out of all of that. All right, let's move on. Matt from the town manager.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. The council adopted resolution R-02-2026 last month. I just want to acknowledge that we had our contractor Brutus and Associates move forward with the H&H analysis. I know I mentioned that we may put a pause on it depending on what WSSC's engineer decided to do with the project. After meeting with WSSC and our contractor Brutus, we decided to move forward with the H&H analysis. They are working directly with WSSC's engineering team on the analysis to determine what the flooding possibilities are with the existing culvert and the proposed repairs to the storm drain. And I hope to have that. I don't think we'll have it in the April meeting, but I think we will have it in the May meeting. So I'll provide an update at that time.
Okay.
As Councilmember Crimmins alluded
Matt,
to, yes.
Sorry, I just had a quick question. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to. You know that we were trying to have me join the meeting to ask some of those questions. Were you able to raise any of them? The ones that we talked about the last council meeting by chance?
Can you remind me? I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact questions.
Around the design flood that they were using 10-year versus, could they up it with climate change to increase it to a higher return rate, or I guess the return period being like 1 in 25, and then the issue around what was actually being done in the hydrologic study versus the hydraulic. And then the third part was just around, would they combine this analysis with the idea around the purposeful flooding of the cabin park and trying to redesign that as a nature-based solution?
So I can answer the first and the third question. I cannot answer the second question for you.
No.
I'll have to go back to school. The main issue is the modeling that was coming out of WSSC was, and I'll try to keep this very brief.
Sure.
What happened with the sewer line was there was scouring beneath the sewer line of about 5.5 feet, which basically made the pipe exposed. What WSSC wanted to do was basically build it back to the original as-built, basically put the dirt back, cover the pipe, protect it. What WSSC is deciding to do was do a temporary fix of the pipe, solidify it, and they are planning to actually move the sewer line to the other side of the street. That is a 3 to 5 year plan for them. They're currently working with Montgomery Parks on that plan, and it kind of changes what we need to do on our end. Kind of to answer your third question a little bit on this, Parks, WSSC, and the town will have to look at what we can do with Kensington Cabin Park when the sewer line is moved over. I know they had requested us making some changes at some point with their walking path into the park. So it's kind of like a process. We'll continue to look at it. Nothing really came about with this meeting other than it's probably good news that they're moving the sewer line, and there's potential for us to work with only Parks and WSSC to solve some of the flooding on what would be the west side. With regards to the east side, which is where the existing culvert is, that's what the H&H analysis is going to evaluate. We don't think the culvert, even with the scouring, can handle the flow of water during a heavy rainstorm. This will kind of give us a better idea, and I'll just prepare everyone now. Our expectation is that we're going to have to build a new structure. This is not like a 2 to 3 year plan for the town. This is like a 7 to 10 year plan for the town. So our expectation is that we're going to have to build a new bridge, with a larger culvert to handle the floodwaters that are coming down Silver Creek. So that is what the H&H is going to prepare us for.
Okay. I think I understood because I was, when you said that they were going to divert it and the 3 to 5 year plan, put it on the other side, I was very excited because it sounded like this is a temporary fix, and the issue around knowing it's going to flood inevitably, and then having fixed it, knowing it's going to scour it again and erode it, that I found problematic. But you said the 3 to 5 year plan would fix it, but now maybe it's actually 7 to 8 years because the issue is on the east side, right?
The main issue is the bridge and the culvert are under the jurisdiction of the town. The size of the culvert cannot handle floodwaters. We know that. The H&H analysis is going to confirm that for us. So we, at some point, will have to build a new bridge with a new culvert. That, like I said, that is not something we're going to do in the next 2, 3, 5 years. It's something that we're going to do over the next 7 to 10. What WSSC is going to do is move their sewer line so it's not damaged again before we're able to build a new bridge. They're going to move it over to the other side and run it through the park, which gives them an opportunity to work with Montgomery Parks on some flooding issues that they're having and their walking bridge. And our feedback from WSSC and their engineering team was that Parks has been pretty open and receptive to their ideas, which is good, because that has not always been the case, as you know. So, unfortunately, it looks like we're going to need a new bridge structure. Good news is it's not going to be right now. And the town's going to have some time to put some money away and find some grants and some help to do this in the long term. So
yeah, and some time to think about building the coalition of other agencies, planning, even the state, whoever else needs to be involved to do it the right way, like we were talking about. That the idea of having it have a design, have it purposefully flood certain areas of the park. I think that's, if we start that conversation with them in 2 to 3 years when they're moving the sewer pipe, that's probably a good time to set it up for 7 to 10 years from now. So good to hear. Thank you.
Sure. So there's a lot of markings down there. If you notice, there's a lot of surveying activity. So that's pretty much our team just doing the survey work for the H&H analysis. So
are there any other questions from the council or the public?
Just a comment, Nate. I had wondered about this after you brought it up. I am not an engineer, just putting that out there. But what I thought around your 10-year flood question was that because it's deemed a local road, the Maryland DOT design and policy guidelines for bridges over waterways only stipulates a 10-year flood plan.
Right. Yeah, and that's what we had found out. I guess we discovered that during the last meeting. I mean, that is the minimum, right? It doesn't mean that we can't do more.
Yeah, I mean, that is what is, I don't know if that is what's required, right, for the road that's over the bridge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is it's what's required at the very least you could always do you could always do a design. You could always over design it according to the standards. Is my point. But yeah.
Okay.
Matt,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry, Mayor.
No, go ahead, Stuart.
A question, Matt, on the H&H analysis. I may have asked this last time, and I too am not an engineer, so just put that out there. I know the WSSC is doing work on the other bridge on that same creek. Like, are those two projects, do we need to be aware of the interplay between, what's going to be done down at that other bridge and how it could affect upstream from there, to not inadvertently create a secondary choke point that we then have to kind of correct at the same time we do the other bridge?
Yes. So, I mean, I will say this, as bad as the sewer breakage was, it has opened up a line of communications between the town and WSC's engineering team. And they are communicating with us on levels that we've never seen before. So they're letting us know what we're doing. Anchor, who is our engineer with Brutus, is in on the communication lines. So we are getting information from them that are allow us to solve problems going forward. I'm pretty happy about that. So, and again, like I said, I think the best thing that's going to come out of this is WSSC has Parks' attention on this. We have not been able to get their attention on some of the flooding issues really over the last decade. So I think they're taking this a little more seriously than they have been previously.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that the engineering line of comms is open. I just plant a little seed in your mind that, like, hey, if WSSC is going to go through all the trouble to fix that other spot, now that they should be aware that we're also considering study of the other bridge upstream, so that we're not inadvertently creating problems for ourselves. Did they start that project, by the way? I know they're supposed to do it in March. I know this is not on the, just while I have you.
No, they've been out yet.
Yeah, I cannot confirm that. I don't believe they have.
The only thing I can
Okay.
think of is it's been too cold, but I can reach out to Brandon, the community officer, tomorrow and
Okay.
see what he can update.
Okay, Mayor. I'm happy to do that too if that takes something off your plate. I just sorry
Okay.
I know it's not on the agenda.
Now it's pretty easy. Joe?
Thank you, Mayor. So for the town manager, now what is Brutus's contract covering? If a new bridge is the end result, and 7 to 10 years is a long time to be waiting, but what is Brutus doing exactly, and how much is that contract worth? Would you remind us about that?
Yeah, so the contract is just an engineering analysis. It's the H&H, hydrological and hydraulic analysis. What it's doing is confirming the modeling from WS's engineering team that the culvert does not meet the storm drain requirements. So that's what the analysis will do. Like I said, our expectation is that it's going to come back and tell us that the existing culvert does not meet standards to hold the amount of water that's coming down Silver Creek. And then from that point, at some point, it's not, like I said, this is not something we're going to fix in the next year or two. We'll start putting together a team to address a new structure. So,
And the value of the contract that Brutus is working under?
it was, I believe, $47,000 or $48,000. I don't remember the exact number.
I'm sorry, there was some crosstalk.
It was either $47,000 or $48,000. It was approved by the council last month, Joe.
Right.
You were at the meeting.
Some things just slip one's mind. Thanks for the reminder.
Okay, thank you. All right, can we go ahead and move on to number 2?
St. Paul Park Playground, Phase 2, they have removed the existing mulch. The PIP is scheduled to be poured next week, weather permitting. You'll also notice some markings outside the playground structure. We are planning to put in a drain to address some of the water issues that we've had around the perimeter. It's basically between the gate from the Montessori school and the playground park. We're hoping to put that in either tomorrow or Friday morning. We did have them remove the 2 spring riders, which are the duck and the turtle. They're going to be replaced by a twist and turn, and I forget the name of the other piece of equipment, but it's basically like it's a mini swing that looks like it can hold maybe 2 to 3 young children. We did double check the weight capacity could hold an adult because we know the adults will use it like the spring riders. So we're hopeful that that can get completed next week with good weather. So
Is that the installation of both the ground cover and the new
yep.
apparatus?
The both pieces of equipment are scheduled for delivery to playground specialists on Friday. So as long as they have them, they'll be able to install them next week with the PIP. So there is, I'll also mention, there is a shade structure that the council asked about. We have not ordered it quite yet. They've sent us some pricing. We've looked at a few shade structures. We're just honestly, we're not really sure where to put it quite yet. We kind of wanted to look at the sun over the summer and kind of get a better idea of where the shade structure should go. So,
All right, Council, any questions regarding the playground equipment? Anybody in the audience?
Where did you put the duck and turtle?
they
Where
are
did
in
they
the
go?
Armory garage.
I was hoping you would save them. I feel like
We have them.
there's
We
a
have
piece
them.
of history to be saved there with the archivist or something. I mean, I think they were well regarded.
Okay. All right, I'm not seeing any further questions, so go ahead at number 3.
St. Paul Storm Drain Project, we talk about this every month. They were, as of today, they were putting the curb line on the east side of Madison. You may have noticed they've got the curb on St. Paul. We've got most of the intersection of McComas and St. Paul completed. There's still the south side that we need to finish. The sidewalk on the west side of Madison should go in sometime next week. And Decatur, the intersection with Decatur should be completed sometime in the next 2 weeks. The actual storm drain is in, it's operational. It held up quite well the other night with the rain we had. As of right now, we're probably looking at completion of the concrete work over the next 4 weeks and milling and paving sometime in May with striping. So I'm very hopeful that the project will be completed by the beginning of June. And I will note, Alex was able to get a couple trees from Stadler Nursery, and Jack's guys were able to finish at least a portion of McComas. So we're looking to plant at least 3 trees on Friday. The rest of the trees will probably have to go in December, but we wanted to get some trees back because we took down a number of trees in that area that, as the residents, we got feedback. I mean, obviously they understood what was going on, but we did take down a number of mature trees. So we wanted to get some back as soon as we could. So.
It looks really good. I took your advice and I went over to St. Paul Street and Decatur and Madison, and it looks nice. It really does.
Alex and I are on site almost every day. I mean, we are getting stopped by people outside of town, and they're providing very favorable comments towards us. I think everyone realizes what we're doing up there. And as Councilmember Sparker and I kind of traded emails last week, the visuals really starting to come about, and you can finally see what I've been talking about for, I don't know, ever 2 years, 3 years. So.
Well, that, the snow ice thing really, pushed us back on time, which is too bad. So the project got pushed back.
I wanted to make two other quick notes. I know we want to keep moving. The all-way stop at the intersection of Kensington Parkway and Littledale. We have sent that over to MCDOT to do the evaluation. They have declined to move forward with the request. The reasoning was 75% of the traffic was north and south on Kensington Parkway. It did not justify an all-way stop. The other issue they were concerned with was basically the elongated nature. Between the intersection, they were concerned, but really it's just 75% of the traffic was north and south, and they didn't feel it was justified to do cross-traffic stops for the north and southbound. So we will not be moving forward with that, but the marking schedule is most likely going to happen. So we'll put in the new crosswalks and stop bars and everything, hopefully in May, if not sooner on that. And then the town paid the building permit today to county DPS. Alex and I are very hopeful that we'll have the county building permit either tomorrow or Friday. And our expectation is Donahoe will start hopefully Monday if they can get a pre-construction meeting with county DPS. So.
Great. Yeah, it's I don't know if any of the council have been over to town hall, but it's Matt and Alex and Susan are in the council chamber, and Shirley and Annie are in the conference room in the front. So it's a big difference going over there to check in with everybody. So So we will be on Zoom until they move back upstairs. Hopefully that'll be in May, but most likely June.
We're scheduled for 10 weeks. So if they
Okay.
start Monday, we're 10 weeks out. They're Emerson and the team are hopeful that they can get it done in slightly less than that.
Great. Very good. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the council regarding number 3 or comments? Okay. Anyone in the public, from the public? No? Okay. Since it's almost 8:30, I'm going to go ahead and bring up public appearances. If anybody would like to bring something up that's not on the agenda, this is your time. Joe?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The WSSC community meeting, virtual meeting recently indicated that repair work finally would begin on along Kensington Parkway by mid-March. We've passed that date. Do you have any sense as to when this really is going to go ahead, or is that part of your questioning for Brandon?
That was the
terms
question
of-
for Brandon when Councilmember Sparker brought it up, that he thought it was supposed to start in March. So I'll follow up. We have had a lot of rain, and they did say that it was weather permitting.
Right, we've had
But
some nice weather
could get
too.
another-
So
Well,
I'm just curious as to, this has been an eyesore at that part of town for 8 or 9 months now, and with the temporary sewage disposal lines, and I know there's a lot of expectation that these, finally this is going to get replaced, and a permanent solution or quasi-permanent solution will be installed. But I really have my doubts as to whether they're going to begin. Well, hell, we're past mid-May or mid-March anyway, so I'm very doubtful about their timetable.
well, they got a lot going on, and I will
Well,
follow.
they did make a commitment, it sounded like, and
Well, they were very clear about weather. So,
right. Well,
you know,
as I say, we've had nice weather as well, but I'm not going to argue the weather with you, Mayor. My other question is, given that every year is a local election year in Kensington, and the terms of yourself, Mayor, and 2 council members expire this year, I'm just wondering what re-election plans you all may have. Thanks.
I plan to run again, Joe.
I haven't yet decided, to be honest, whether I'll run or not. I'm giving it serious consideration, though. Thanks for the question. I'm surprised you didn't ask it in January. This is the latest. I think it's a record, Joe. It's the latest you may have ever asked.
Well,
I appreciate it, though.
not to be predictable is always a virtue, it seems.
And I also have not made a final decision, though I lean towards running.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Joe. All right, let's move on to ordinance, resolutions, and regulations.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you this evening is the introduction of ordinance number O-01-2026, an introduction of an ordinance of the mayor and council of the town of Kensington to appropriate and adopt the fiscal year 2026-2027, that's FY27, budget and to levy a tax on certain real and personal property under the provisions of Section 6-203 of the tax property article of the annotated code of Maryland. We're requesting that the council set the public hearing for Wednesday, April 8th, 2026 at 7:00 p.m.
I know we're not taking any comments, but I do have a question regarding a forum that we had talked about earlier, because we are a week later in our own council meeting, so that we could take care of the parking contract. And spring break is until the 6th. I mean, pretty much kids are back on the 7th. Do we have an opportunity to do a forum? We had talked about doing it virtually, but we really don't have a lot of time. So that's why we can certainly do a smaller version, kind of more of a refresher, because I think most of the things that we talked about last year are still being put into the works. So.
Well, Tracy, I'm glad to bring this up, and I liked your idea of experimenting with a virtual forum. I'm wondering if it's possible, if it were a more compressed version, to just do it as part of the hearing on the 8th, and with a little bit more explanation than we normally do and discussion.
My only concern is it's going to be a very late meeting because
Well, I was just going to suggest maybe we start a little earlier that night, like we had in the past when we had this combined in person. Didn't we have it at 6 and then we
went
went to
down.
the council room?
I think we did that for 1 year. I don't think we did both, but we did it 1 year. I have no problem with meeting at 6 o'clock on the 8th.
I unfortunately can't.
Okay. 6:30? No?
Are you not here on the 8th or?
Yeah, I have to be in DC for meetings that day and that run late.
Okay. Well, I mean, is it an option? I know we're doing a resolution, but we could change the date to the 15th.
Just to do the math, does changing the date change any of the when we need to adopt the budget by, Matt?
No, we just need 15 days from introduction before we can hold the public hearing.
I mean, I'd rather have the entire council there if possible.
If you're proposing the 15th, I am available. That would work.
And me too, but I'm curious about the comment about too long of a meeting. I don't know what the rest of the agenda looks
like.
Like.
Starting at 6, I mean, that would help. I mean, we have to be.
I mean, I will say this. Realizing that Matt and staff need to prepare whatever the presentation is, they already prepare the budget documents that go into the hearing. And to Nate's point, I think if we just expand on that and add, things around land acquisition and some of the bigger CIP things, I think if we can condense it all into one meeting, I think staff's presentation will dovetail nicely into the larger condensed budget review.
Can we set a time limit for discussion? Does that limit discussion on the CIP to an hour and a half?
Oh, I don't think we need an hour and a half on the CIP. I mean, my guess is, part of the reason we're trying to do it virtually is to encourage more people to attend.
Indeed.
But that doesn't mean it's a good night for people or they're really interested. Now we can put, obviously we can post the recording of that. Not that it would give them much time as far as the hearing, but I mean, at least people will be more informed.
And, we could also, as we normally would do, encourage them, if they are not able to attend, they can send their questions in to mayor.council or to the staff to be reviewed and addressed during the meeting as well. And then they can watch it after the fact.
So were we all available on the 15th? I didn't hear Nate. And all right, Stuart is Nate.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that should work. I was even gonna say, but even that the same week, but a different day could work. But
Okay.
Matt,
if we need to have it earlier, like
Matt,
that first week.
does getting more time help you?
Yeah, the 15th's fine. The
Okay.
16th is going to be a problem for me. So, I mean, if you want to do it like over 2 nights or 2 weeks or something, that's fine. I'm not available the 16th or 17th, which is the
I
Thursday,
think
Friday
you
that
meant a
week.
different day the previous week.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, the
fine with
previous
me.
week. Whatever works for that whole week, 13th, 14th, 15th, or the 7th also works. So whatever works for everyone else.
So do the hearing on the 15th, the town council meeting on the 15th, and then do the, you don't want to do both in the same night. I don't know. I think we could do the 8th even if Anne couldn't be there, unless she could do the 7th or the
I
9th.
can do it. I just can't be there as early as 6. That was my concern. So if we did a regular 7 o'clock.
Okay, so if we did 7 o'clock for the just for a budget forum, and then the town council meeting with hearing on the 15th.
I thought we were talking about doing them together.
Well, she can't start that early, but
on the 15th I could. If you moved it to the 15th, I can do it at 6. Yeah, sorry.
I was hearing groaning about long meetings, so that's
it sounds like
35 already, so Is everybody comfortable doing 6 o'clock on the 15th? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we will move the town meeting to the 15th at 7 o'clock. So we need to change that on the ordinance. When we make the motion, please make that adjustment. And then on the, we'll have the forum at 6 o'clock, same night. All online, okay? All virtual. Okay. All right. Good. All right. All right.
Tracy, do you need a motion for the hearing? Or are we good?
I do. No, I do. I need a motion, especially that we're changing the date.
Sure.
Yeah,
I would move that we hold the public hearing for the budget on Wednesday, April 15th, beginning at 6 p.m. to be followed by the regular monthly town council meeting.
Okay. Is there a second? Stuart, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. Number 2.
Thank you, Council. Before you this evening is resolution number R-03-2026, a resolution of the Mayor and Town Council of Kensington in support of House Bill HB 1142 to establish a task force to modernize county and municipal revenue structures to study and evaluate the revenue structure of county and municipal governments within the state and require the task force to submit a report of its findings and recommendations to the governor and certain committees of the General Assembly by December 1st, 2026. This was a request of the municipalities within Montgomery County, specifically to some feedback that the mayor received and all the mayors received about the possibility of highway user revenues being taken from municipalities from the state.
So MML, they're the ones that wanted to make sure that all the municipalities do the resolution, approve a resolution to help maintain highway user funds. They're okay this year, but they might not be next year. Can I get a motion?
I just had a couple of quick questions, if it's okay, because I didn't realize I didn't have a chance to look at the actual language of HB 1142. So it's about the highway user funds. I thought it was to explore other sources of revenue.
It's both. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess my main question was why the push now? I mean, we've gone through economic downturns and difficult budget periods, in the past. So I was just curious if there was any more background on why. And then whether, I know it's just to study it, but I don't know if they discussed when they reached out to you, Tracy, if there's any risk of the state then. If this would pass and tax revenue would come to us from some of the sales tax or whatever the other mechanisms would be, is there a risk? Has it happened in other states where state taxes would then increase to fill the gaps of the taxes that, the shortfall that they would have that's going then to the municipalities? I guess that's probably some things that they would study, but I just wanted to flag a couple of these questions and. Would we potentially be risking services that the town relies on from the state, like with the roads and so on, if they don't have the revenues and they're going to, municipalities instead? I just wonder if a full-throated endorsement of this, we might be a little more cautious. Do we know what the potential ramifications are of it?
They didn't get into that much detail. I think part of it is a lot of the other municipalities, the smaller ones, are in need of more revenues. They're coming up short in their revenue, especially more in the rural areas. So I think it's mainly in support for them. I mean, we have other, especially for our town, we have a lot of businesses where, we're getting money from them as well for property tax. And so it is, will it help us? Yeah, I think anytime you can help give municipalities a little bit more option of finding more revenues is a good thing. But it's really meant to help smaller municipalities that don't have that opportunity.
Okay. And you think that they would be studying some of these potential trade-offs of whatever mechanisms are used? That's what the task force will do?
That's what I believe that they will do.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the other things, Nate, that I'd heard in just reading the communication from MML, I forgot, but I'm still surprised to see that we're one of only 6 states that doesn't allow municipalities to share in sales tax revenues. So we don't get them from the higher levels of government, and we cannot assess them ourselves. Now, for some of the more rural and those without commercial districts, that type of change obviously is not going to be impactful. But thinking for the town of Kensington, the ability to have a small sales tax, or at least a portion of the sales tax to come back to the town, I think would be great, so that we're not so dependent on highway user revenues, and we're not so dependent on property taxes. And so, this establishes a working group, but I think I would like there to be some real conversation with the state about some of the tax policies that have been unchanged for decades, and either get them to formalize the position of why they don't want to change it, or maybe start to begin to look at, maybe this is something we should be allowing municipalities to share in.
Yeah. No, I agree that it's wise to study it. I was just curious what the impetus was right now, but that makes sense.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Mayor, I see that I'm just doing some research on this too, because I didn't know it was like Council Member Engel, I did not know it was for the intended purpose. It looks like they've got not too much time. December, by the end of the year, they have to have a report in. That's going to take December 1st, actually. Looks like that report. Is that enough time? Is that in keeping with like how these things are normally run?
I can't answer that question. I don't know. I don't know whether this came in at the last minute. They do have bills that come in. Usually they don't, they ignore them, and they could ignore this one as well. But MML asked that we get, to approve these so they can show that the municipalities really want this to happen. So.
Okay. And then the other thing I'll flag for the council is that task force is broken down into 13 individual folks, 7 of whom come from the state, and 5 of them come from local government. So with a chair sitting on top of it. So the local government representatives are not even going to make up the majority of the task force, which I think is problematic, in that if they're trying to make this a task force that will look out for the municipality, they don't even have a majority to weigh in here. They can be overruled by the state lawmakers. So that to me is could be fatal to the overall task force in reaching its intended design.
Go ahead, Ann. Sorry.
I just wanted to say that I would support the resolution, and also support that we communicate to MML that we would like to be kept informed and have an opportunity to provide input, even if that's through the task force members.
Okay. Sounds good. Is there a motion?
Do you need public comment at all?
I didn't see any hands, but yes, anybody in the public want to? Nope. Can I have a motion?
Sure. I move that we adopt resolution number R-03-2026.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
Opposed.
Opposed? Okay. Okay. So thank you. All right. Number 3.
Thank you, Council. Before you this evening is resolution number R-04-2026, a resolution of the Kensington Town Council confirming appointments made by the mayor to the Board of Supervisors of Elections. This is to reappoint Martha Deal, Spencer Harrell, and Robin Watson. There would be no change from last year.
Any discussion? Any discussion from the public? Can I get a motion? Oh,
I'll move to adopt
wait a minute.
resolution.
Joe's got an X. I don't know what that means.
That means no.
Oh, no what? No. Oh, okay, you have no questions. Okay.
No comment.
No.
No comment.
Shit.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's too exotic. I guess I'll
That
not
was a
use
new one
it.
for me. I have no seen X's.
Well, I've
Okay.
used it before. Anyway, sorry.
All right. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to adopt resolution R-04-2026, resolution, town council confirming the appointments to the Board of Supervisors of Elections.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Number 4.
Thank you,
I want to
Council.
talk about this a little bit, so go ahead, but get us started.
Sure. Before you this evening is our last resolution, resolution R-05-2026, a resolution of the mayor and council of the town of Kensington authorizing a contract agreement with a undetermined contractor for a comprehensive parking analysis and management study for the town. Just to provide some feedback, we received 7 bids on March 12th. The parking task force was able to review the proposals. They have a recommendation for you this evening. We did have a representative with Walker Consulting on the call earlier. It looks like he has dropped off. They were the low bid. I will defer to Councilmember Lichter and Councilmember Sparker. But staff recommendation is in support of what I believe the parking task force recommendation is, to move forward with Walker Consultants.
Ann or Stuart, you want to go into a little bit more detail? Alex did send everybody those proposals, so hopefully you had a chance to look them over.
Stuart, why don't you start since you led the review?
Yeah, no problem. So just to kind of give everybody a bit of a background of the rigor that we put in place for this proposal, some number of months ago, we within the parking task force committee, we put together our list of requirements and what we thought was needed from a perspective of the RFP. We also contemplated a request for information, knowing that there's a lot of things in this industry that we may not know about. And so we wanted to solicit some information as far as like budget and cost and other kinds of things that we wanted to help round out our RFP. Turns out that was a little bit overboard. And so we baked the RFI questions into the RFP process, ended up putting out an RFP to industry. And Alex, I think, correct me on the date, but it was early February. And we put it out there for 4 weeks, I believe is what the actual amount of time it was on the street for. We ended up getting 7 proposals back. And I think they actually held a vendor forum. Is that right, Matt? Where the vendors were able to come and sit with members of staff and kind of ask some questions. And so staff, and I think perhaps Joe and Mary Jo, we actually had some participants from the public in that meeting. RFP responses were due, and 7 proposals came in. These proposals were very detailed. Some of them were incredibly complex, very high-end productions with glossy photos and lots of detail. Actually, I was pretty impressed with the overall response. And we basically established some scoring criteria for that. We set out a form to score the RFPs, and we ranked them by 4 categories. The first being project understanding and guiding principles, which is really to understand, to show that the vendors understood the town's specific parking challenges, incorporated the guiding principles from the RFP. The second category we graded these RFP responses on was team qualifications and experience. We wanted to see if they had actual relevant and deep experience among the folks who would actually be executing the work. The third bucket that we looked at was the technical approach and their methodology. And there we were kind of grading them on a detailed, logical, and effective methodology for executing the tasks, and whether they actually provided sufficient detail to give us confidence that they'd be able to execute this. project on the town's behalf. And then finally, we looked at cost. And we kind of ranked them based on cost. Cost was, I think, an equal factor here. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ann. But I don't think we said this was like the lowest price technically acceptable or that kind of contract, but we were definitely being mindful of cost. So with those four criteria, we evaluated the 7 RFP responses. Joe, myself, and Mary Jo met on Monday. Councilmember Lichter provided her comments as well to our scoring rubric, and we shared that with the council and with the staff. From those 7, 6 of them provided substantive responses. One actually had, at the time we sat down and reviewed it, one of them only had their pricing attachment, and we actually did the analysis of their pricing and didn't have their substantive, the meat of their rest of their proposal until after the fact. So we essentially assessed 6. Long and short of it is we took those 6 and we kind of weighed them against each other. Joe and Mary Jo and I and Councilmember Lichter came together and we kind of coalesced around 3 main contenders. And those were the 3 that we shared with the rest of the council and the mayor. Those were Walker, consultants Mead and Hunt, and Nelson Nygaard. And we can talk about those individually. For everybody's awareness, the total pricing for Walker was $88,000. Mead and Hunt was $95,345, and Nelson Nygaard was $99,925. So that's how we arrived at our 3 candidates for consultation with the council today. And does that get you where you need to go?
Yeah, I just wanted to note on the factors that cost and value was not the highest percentage weight within the evaluation that were noted in the RFP, that we were looking at technical approach and team qualifications and experience as sort of primary factors. And then Stuart, you can relay more detail, but my sense from the notes is that even aside from cost, there was a lot of support for the approach that Walker put forward.
Yes, that is true. Some high-level notes on our assessment from Walker Consultants is that, first of all, they don't propose to use subcontractors, which I think we weighed favorably across all the proposals. For our money, we thought that having direct comms with the folks who are actually doing the work was actually better for the town, given the limited bandwidth of the staff and not getting put through the runaround, trying to track down like, hey, who do I actually need to talk to solve these problems? So we thought that was a pretty dispositive factor. We also thought that Walker had a really solid grasp of what we were looking for. There was a couple notes that they put in here that actually Joe flagged, that they tended to show specifically the local municipalities like ours face between parking for businesses and parking for residents, and the tension that kind of creates over the limited resources and space. And so we thought that Walker's approach in specifically calling that out was really important for our analysis. We thought that they had local experience. They're actually based in Rockville. They've done studies in a couple municipalities in Virginia, Fairfax County, and Old Town Fairfax. So and they, we thought that was good, that they kind of understand this area and they understand the complexities that we're facing here. They actually referenced our task force, which is pretty important. That was the only, I think, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that was the only bid that actually specifically, no, was that, no, yeah, sorry. Referencing the task force was a plus, so we'll go with that. And then, Ann, I think you've got some notes here for mobile management and payment systems that they'd give us an options here. So all in all, I think we assess Walker as the highest given those kinds of factors. And then price obviously was another factor that we weighed favorably.
Okay. Connor, do you have any questions?
The basis of this is to be a firm fixed price not to exceed contract, given each of the, I think it was 7 tasks that were laid out.
Correct, yes.
Okay, and so obviously all the scope of each of those 7, everybody was presented the same scope of work. And so these prices are consistent with, and to the task force members, you feel strongly that Walker can complete favorably all 7 of those tasks?
Yes, I will note that that some of the proposals provided more in-depth analysis that appeared on like the mobile park management and payment systems, for example, than Walker appeared to propose. But for me as an evaluator, in my judgment, I thought we will still get analysis from them. It's maybe not as in-depth as some of the others were, and that at this stage of analysis that might be sufficient for what we need, because there's so many different parking solutions that will be explored as part of the study. And you can see there's, if you look more closely at the different tasks, there are a few distinctions, but that was one that was apparent to me.
Yeah, and I asked that, sorry, I asked it only because I'm looking at the analysis that was provided in the council package, just breaking down tasks 0 through 5 and expenses. And for a handful of them, for task 0, provided no cost. So, I looked through the 3 that you recommended. I thought they all are very good. These are very high quality proposals, which I think goes to say very good work on the solicitation, that we got such quality proposals, and I don't have any other questions.
Just to follow up on the pay to park, that's not a necessity for us. That's just more out of if we did want to do it. Is that fair to say? It was more just having that option, but we're not really.
Yeah, there any different approaches to turnover and management of parking, which will include looking at payment solutions. So I think we're going to get some analysis on that from all of them. I'm just pointing out that in comparison, Walker's analysis they will provide is akin to a report and description of available solutions based on what they know to be, our needs and interests from the study, whereas some other proposals appeared to go a step further and like doing some more like pre-procurement understanding of how to phase in that type of solution. So in my judgment, though, just that having that extra amount in scope now was not a persuasive factor, because I think we'll still get very solid analysis from what I saw in Walker's proposal.
Okay, thank you. Nate?
Yeah, so I have a couple of observations and a few questions, but just to first of all say incredible work and great job. I think this was echoing what Connor was saying. I think the solicitation was great. I think the proposals were really solid. The scope of work, you guys put a lot of detail in it. We hadn't seen it before, and all of the different tasks that they're delivering for the value for money, what we're going to get, I think is going to be really great. So thank you for your work, everyone on the parking task force, and for Ann and Stuart leading it. I really love that we added in there the wayfinding system and the signage, the idea of partnerships with some of the businesses. I love that. I think it's really important to have that public input. When I was reviewing the proposals, and I have to admit, I had to look through them really quickly because we didn't have an incredible amount of time to go through these over the last day or two, but they all had, I think, very solid stakeholder engagement and public input, which I think is essential in something like this. And then also on this last point, we were talking about the payment systems and parking management. I think that's really important for us to be considering. So it was good to see all that. One thing that I don't think I saw in all the proposals, and I was a little bit disappointed in this, and that I think it was maybe the Mead and Hunt was the only one that had an emphasis on some of the non-car parking infrastructure, like where to place bicycle racks and how to actually prioritize pedestrian and bicycling in their analysis. it may be buried in the others, but I think that was the only one that really stuck out to me. And disappointing that it's not in Walker. Maybe that can be added in if it's that's what the recommendation is. Just on what you shared with us in the Excel spreadsheet breakdown, and after reviewing the proposals, I was actually surprised, to be honest, to see that it was Walker, because the spreadsheet it actually talks about some of the potential limitations of the proposal, and the other two were really strongly reviewed, but we didn't see the actual evaluations. So I totally trust everything you're saying, and not questioning the rigor of the evaluation. But some of the points that you raised on like not having subcontractors, to me, we had the subcontractors on some of the other work we did around I think it was either the BIPA or the corridor study, and it was fine. I think what they were doing is trying to get the best people for the job. And I think I actually look at that maybe not as a dispositive thing, maybe a positive thing, that they recognize where their limitations are, and they form a consortium to put together the best proposal. So I actually don't see that as a negative necessarily. But the one thing that really stood out to me, and why I was surprised about Walker, was and Stuart, you said that they have local experience, but the other two actually have experience working in the town with the BIPA analysis and with the Connecticut Avenue corridor study. They've actually worked with Kensington. So, and both of the others had it's clear they came to the town, took photos, made it very specific to the town. And maybe I was a little bit more taken that they actually had town specific things in their proposal. But again, I reviewed it really quickly, and it was just, I was a little bit surprised to see that was a recommendation. But again, didn't see all of the analysis and so on. So just to make a couple of those points, I think it's worth noting as we reviewed these quickly. But again, appreciate the work. Put all the effort went into it. I'm sure we're going to get what we need out of it. One minor point, and this is for you, Matt, I think, and maybe I don't know if we need to amend the draft contract, but there are a couple of references on the first page about it being a townwide traffic study, and there's things around traffic study. I think you probably used language from a typical traffic analysis, so I would just recommend swapping all of that for the parking study when we actually do the contract, just to note that in that first page. That's it for me. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody in the public have comments? Joe?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give a virtual tip of the hat to Councilmember Sparker for very effectively leading the subcommittee's review of the proposals. This was done virtually by on Monday night, I believe, and really we quickly came to a consensus broadly that Walker had the not only the lowest but the best bid overall. And one of the reasons for that, Councilmember Sparker mentioned that a moment ago, that they really had a handle on the tension or the friction that can cause ill feelings in municipalities. This clash between visitors to town and the overflow situation onto adjacent residential streets. They expressed that tension, that friction quite well, and you're welcome to look it up on page 8 of their proposal. And I don't think that any of the other bidders really did quite as well in framing the conflict or the tension or what we're dealing with here. They recognized it, I think, pretty clearly. They also had a very good summation of how they want to proceed with the contract obligations, and I thought they laid that out very well. And they recognized the role of multiple stakeholders in this project, in this undertaking. So I think they really surfaced pretty quickly as the lowest and best bidder. Thank you.
Thank you. So, So Matt, do you want us to vote on the ones we want, or just where they're recommending Walker, and then we'll just do a vote on
So,
that?
as Councilmember Sparker and Councilmember Lichter were on the email early this afternoon, staff's recommendation is for the council to approve the resolution this
Okay.
evening, awarding the bid to Walker Consultants in an amount not to exceed $88,000. Obviously, that's up to the council to proceed with. Staff was very happy with the bid results as well. We came to the same conclusion as the parking task force. We believed that Walker was the best application that we received. I will tell you that I have since heard back from the borough manager of Aspinwall.
Of who?
Aspinwall, Pennsylvania, which is one of
Oh.
their. I reached out to them first. I'm very familiar with them. It's not too far from where I used to live. They're right outside Pittsburgh, and she responded just prior to the meeting and was told us, said that they were great. Would be happy to work with them again. We did reach out to their other references. We have not heard back yet. So,
Okay, that's good. All right. So maybe Ann or Stuart would like to make a motion.
Joe has his hand up again, Mayor.
All right, Joe.
Sorry, I was just wondering if the town manager might elaborate on the basis of the staff's recommendation, other than the Aspinwall, Pennsylvania show of support.
we came to the same conclusion as the task force. We believe that everything that was asked for within the tasks met at the best price. We thought the presentation was quite well. We liked that they kind of understood, as you mentioned yourself, kind of the issues that we're having between residential, commercial. I know for a fact that two of the references that they provided, Downingtown and Aspinwall, have very similar downtown areas to us. That's why I reached out to them first. We've not heard back from, I think it was Falls Church, and I believe, was it the city of Fairfax? I think was the fourth one.
City of Fairfax, yeah.
Yeah.
And the city of Falls Church.
Yeah.
One other thing you didn't mention is I noticed they all had different timelines for implementation, and this was the shortest one too, right? This would be done the quickest, if I remembered correctly.
We got that question at the pre-bid meeting. We kind of had a question about timeline when we wanted to start it. It's one of the reasons why we asked the council to push the council meeting to this evening, so we'd have time to review them. We did extend the initial bid timing through an addendum based on the number of questions we received. We're hoping to start next month and
wrap up in September, right?
That's according to their proposal, yeah.
Their schedule. Yeah.
Councilmember Sparker and Councilmember Lichter, I did make a notation in the email to you that we are asking that the resolution be adopted under two subjects. One, the checking of the references, and second, to the review by the town attorney. So,
Right.
That's great. And for the public, we did ask the question to the town staff and really probably for town attorneys to whether now we can, given if there were, if there is not consensus among the three bids, whether we could go back to them and negotiate for lower rates or something like that. And the answer we got back was probably not. So the question was affirmatively asked, and that was the response we got.
Okay.
Do we need to amend it to not say a traffic study? I don't know if that's important, but it's not a
Contract and attached here is a sample. I don't think it was much paper.
If I may,
Yes.
it's subject to my review. We'll fix that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks,
And
everyone.
also, just one more thing, Nate, since we didn't respond directly to your comment about all forms of mobility, we do talk about that in the RFP, and we'll make sure that that's in scope and part of the planning as well.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So Stuart, do you want to make a motion?
Certainly. I get the honor. And Councilmember Lichter did all the work. she can be my second here. I hereby move to adopt resolution number R-05-2026, would be authorizing the town of Kensington to engage in a contract with Walker Consultants for a comprehensive parking analysis and management study of the town with the amount of not to exceed $88,000, subject to 2 additional criteria: that the town verify the references, and the agreement is subject to review by the town attorney.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. And your motion was perfect, Stuart. You got everything in there. That was
Public school education, Mayor. Public school education.
okay. So the only thing I want to just make a Connor reminded me, I think everybody got the email about Unlimited Bread's opening soon. I did give him the date of April 11th, since of the between Easter and people being out of town. So he's not gotten back to me on that, but he thought the date was going to be pretty good. He just had to talk to his dad about it. But very excited about them coming to town, and we'll get that information out once they've confirmed the date. Okay, so before I ask for adjournment, to remind everybody, we'll now be meeting on Wednesday, April 15th at 6 p.m. virtually. Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Sue
Have a
Ellen.
good rest of the night, everyone.
Bye,
Yeah,
all.
thank
Thanks.
you. Good
Thank
night.
you.